Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Haribo, Haribo.
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Govinda Swami Guru Deva, Govinda Swami Guru Deva.
Jaya Gaur Govinda Swami Guru Deva, Gaur Govinda Swami Guru Deva.
Jaya Guru Deva, Murali Krishna Swami Guru Deva.
Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Murali Krishna Swami Guru Deva.
Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Nittai Gora Haribo, 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 Nittai Gora Haribo.
Nittai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nittai Gaur Haribo.
Nittai Gora Haribo,
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 Nittai Gora Haribo.
Nittai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nittai Gaur Haribo.
Pranam Sankirtan Jaki ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Go Govinda Swami Shil Gurudev ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakti Brinda ki
Jai.
Gaura Pramanande Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Please come closer. he had all the CIA cameras like right in front of me, you know. So I'm being interviewed. I'd rather talk to the devotees than the camera. It's very impersonal, isn't it? Hare Krishna. Haribol. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Okay, you feel good? Sergey, are you getting used to the atmosphere in the Dham? It'll take a couple days, maybe a week. Then you'll start feeling like a Brijavasi. Everyone's good. I saw all of these things. I thought that was people. I was thinking that was people. Sometimes I feel like that's what I'm preaching to, you know? Just some lump of material energy. No souls. Hare Krishna. So, are we good? You feel comfortable? It's becoming a little festive?
Yes.
We have to arrange everything around your eating prasadam schedules. That's like first on the priority. What time is breakfast? What time is dinner? So I'm trying to fit in with your meal schedule. So hopefully it's like a hospital, you know, it's like everything fitting in with the meal schedule and the operation and the treatments and everything has to be there, right? So this Hari-katha Krishna-katha, Krishna Nam, it's like a medicine. Prabhupada said the process of Krishna consciousness is process of purification, especially for conditioned souls. So much filth, so much contamination, so many anarthas, unwanted things, carrying for a long, long time. We read other day, since time immemorial, all of these concoctions and mental ideas and plans and activities, that's also been with us for all of that time. Otherwise, since time immemorial, what were we doing? We had no thoughts, no plans, no activities. We're just drifting. So that means all of those things are also temporarily manifested for the length of our stay in the material world. So to understand these topics, Srila Prabhupada, I was reading earlier, talking about process of purification, especially from this tamagun. So it's all modes of nature, are just different sinful desires and sinful reactions which are just piling up and making like some thicker layers of falsigo, ignorance, which is blocking our soul. It says the soul by its nature is a sadhu, part and parcel of Krishna, has all the qualities of Krishna, not as much, but godly, saintly in nature. And only it's been covered over. So process of cleansing, purification means to gradually dissolve, purify, get rid of all of these different types of sinful desires, sinful reactions, different type of contamination, which is blocking us from this pure spiritual intelligence and sensitivity to be able to understand what is what. We talk many times that if we're in very low consciousness, that we cannot even understand threefold miseries. We cannot even perceive our own anxiety. Sometimes people say, oh, my mind is hurting me, and I say, what are you saying? What is it saying to you? And they say, I don't know. So we're really totally out of touch with all of this reality of our situation because of this ignorance. And it says that the ignorance, tamagun, is the root cause of the suffering condition. So the process of Krishna consciousness, of purification, that's in material world. They're not doing bridge preaching program in the Vaikuntha. Right? They're already reached the perfection. So that purification, gradual purification process, that's here in the material world. And without purifying these lower modes of nature, it's explained. Prabhupada said become perfect gentleman, perfect lady means a Brahmana. Brahman platform, Sattva Gun platform. Then we cannot really understand all of these higher spiritual topics. So gradually, Cetodapana Marjanam means constantly hearing, chanting about Krishna, and taking the prasadam, Krishna prasadam, Jagannath prasad. This is all part of purification process. And we were discussing with devotees how when Prabhupada first came to New York and he was preaching to all the hippies, like expert doctor, sadhu vaidya, he's looking at the patients, he's looking at the level of consciousness, and of course Prabhupada said the consciousness is so low that really you cannot explain anything about philosophy. They cannot process it, understand it, they have no interest in it. So just Prabhupada every day went and got his little drum, kartals, chanting, Tompkins Square Park, and where all the hippies, all the druggies, everybody's hanging out there. You go there now, it's still like that, isn't it? It's like eternally like that. Now you can get shot there if you want. New York is such a place, right? So Prabhupada understood that the consciousness too low. So just chant, and because Prabhupada, Premi Bhakta, pure devotee, authorized, empowered representative of Mahaprabhu, therefore that means Krishna directly manifesting in that sound vibration, transcendental sound vibration, Shabda Brahma. It's coming from Brahman, coming from transcendental realm, non-different from Krishna. Cameraman, are you happy? Is it all right? Sufficient? Yeah? You don't mind that it's not like exactly in my face? Right. I get a little intimidated. Everyone's always checking us out. What are we doing? What are we saying? Right? So just let it be a little bit in the background. Your mental speculation and criticism and fault finding is enough. I don't need to add to that. At least I know about it. Whoever watched the videos anywhere, I don't know. And I'm sure they'll come up with some flaw. So, purification of consciousness, the treatment of the mad mind, which means everybody in the material world is disease condition, insane, more or less. I'm not so insane, but not as bad as so-and-so. But it's like everyone's in the crazy house and it's like, okay, who's more insane? And then the guy who's most insane, he's like, yeah, but if I go one more tick, I'm a genius. So, just all depends on how you look at it. So it's all just going on. So Prabhupada understood, and he said, also in his own words, that how much will they really understand? And even that was his doubt that he said on the prayer, Jaladuta, how will these people in Tamagun, Rajagun, how they're going to understand? It's not just some esoteric Eastern philosophy, it's the highest philosophy that talks about the prema, love for Krishna. And so it's not some part of that philosophical discussion according to the Vedic version, it's the conclusion and the purpose of the Vedas. So how are the people in the Tamagun, Rajagun, and materialistic concept of life, or people who don't even believe in God, atheistic people, right? A lot of the communists, they're atheistic. One person was saying they were just praying on the side of the road, not doing anything, and they said, you're too internal. And then they arrested this person because they were just standing there and they don't know what are they doing. But they're just internally praying. And somehow the mind police said this is unacceptable. So it's kind of, you're going too internal. I need you to be much more external because you're not advanced enough, but at least your body's in the religious institution. That's good for you now. Don't try to think more than that. Was I the only one who was hearing that? What were you all thinking that you're in classes? If you see, mostly he speaks like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, very fast classes. Because he understands how much can they understand, right? Whether it's 30 minutes or 30 hours, like how much are they going to understand? And Prabhupada's also doing everything, building international society, training everybody, taking care of everybody. He's acting like everyone's doctor, everybody's mother, everybody's father, right? Teaching how to, because everyone's like 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, a lot of them from dysfunctional families, and many of them completely dysfunctional themselves. Many people said they don't even know what love is from your father or from your family. They don't, it's like a new concept. So many of them said that, Srila Prabhupada's love and affection for them was like the first time they ever felt any love and affection from family. So that's why it's different from India, right? Yours is like an over love. Right? It's like too much. There it's like not enough. So they got some reciprocation and love and affection from Srila Prabhupada, and that's why they said, we just love Prabhupada. Whatever Prabhupada says, we'll just do it. We don't even know why we're doing it. Fly to Japan, open a temple there, Here's $200, They never even were on the bus out of their own town, and then now they're flying to Japan to open up a, Hari-Krishna temple. And they don't even know the philosophy. The books weren't even really developed yet at that time. There was some, Bhagavad Gitas, and then they were stolen, wasn't it? And then gradually Prabhupada was putting out different cantos, Srimad Bhagavatam. So the books weren't really fully all there yet either. And yet they were going and opening centers for Srila Prabhupada. So they explained also, those devotees, that somehow or other Prabhupada's sound vibration, it was so powerful that it could penetrate all of these different types of gross and subtle kind of, what do you call it, levels or layers, right? Different layers of gross and subtle material energy, which is on top of the soul. So because Krishna is, purest of the pure, when Krishna manifests in that transcendental sound vibration, that means Krishna can enter through any elements, gross or subtle material elements. And so because Krishna manifesting in the sound vibration, that Shravanam, hearing Krishna in the form of that transcendental sound, was able to penetrate through all these thick layers of sinful desire and sinful reaction and false ego and all of these different types of demoniac qualities and desires that we have. And so Prabhupada, in Prabhupada's description of the 4 types of persons that Krishna says who come to Krishna, was it those who are in need of money, those who are, suffering, right? Those who are inquiring about philosophical topic, and those who are in search of knowledge of the absolute truth. Is that correct? Did I get them? Is that right? Is that 4? Okay. I'm a big scholar. I just want to make sure I get that. But Prabhupada says in every one of those descriptions of the types of pious people that come and surrender to Krishna, all of them, by the association of Premi Bhakta, pure devotee of Krishna, they can, by that association, and Prabhupada says association means to hear from them. In all descriptions, when Prabhupada is talking about association, it's based on hearing. It's not like I'm going to go to the temple and hang out with the devotees. I'm going to go associate with the devotees. Associate with the devotees and hear what? So association means association with Krishna through his devotees. If Krishna's not manifesting there, then it's not real association. It's just bodies and gross and subtle elements coming together and trying to interact with each other on some kind of gross, subtle platform. So until Krishna's there, and it's towards the soul, it's meant for the soul, that's a real association. So association, tattva vichar platform. Not just, I see, when I'm chanting, I look out and many people walking to the temple. It's like a social event. That's just, everyone's like migrating towards the temple, right? This afternoon we go to the temple, you take darshan, and then you get some sweets, and then you say hi to all your friends, and, talk a little, philosophy, or who's a guru, what's a guru? You want to be a guru? He's not a guru, she's a guru, right? Some topics, right? Or Jiva Tattva, we were in Goloka Vrindavan, we all fell down. So you argue with everybody, right? Try to establish your version of the truth. And then we're walking back, we're like, well, that was nice to get association of the devotees at the temple. So, it's better than going to the roller skating rink or the ice rink or the bar or the casino. So at least it's heading towards a more pious activity. So that's progress, right? But from, there's the progress, the path, and then there's the conclusion. So the path is sadhana, process of purification. And Devika, are you screaming? And sadhya means the conclusion of prayojana tattva. He's fired up. Right? We had to come up here, put him on the roof, on the back side of the roof, and I hear him better now than when we're sitting in that room. It's fantastic. I'm getting the whole Russian translation. So I get to get, everybody's vibration, get the purification. If they do submissive or reception, you don't have to talk as loud. If they don't do submissive or reception, then you have to scream at them. I remember some devotees, they say, when they came to see Srila Govinda Swami, they said, why are you speaking so loud? They were like shocked, But he was teacher by trade. So he knows how to get the attention of all the students, one way or another. It wasn't it was like snoring. So he has to speak in such a way that you're like, what is this person saying? Right? And then, okay, you captured now you're a little inquisitive, what is he saying? And then it's like, okay, what is he saying? And then, according to Guru Sadhana Shastra, is that accurate? Okay, that seems accurate. Okay, then what is the effect? What kind of effect or benefit do you feel from that association? Now, if we're not conscious enough, and we're dull fellows, and thick layers of tamagun, doesn't matter who's talking. Sometimes we make the little joke that even if Krishna came to you right now and preached to you, even he would say, I cannot convince him. So Prabhupada said, if you don't want to be convinced, you're not going to be, even Krishna can't convince you. But if you are trusting Krishna, open-hearted, open-minded, simple, and perfectly anxious to understand it, then by the mercy of Krishna, Guru Sadhana Shastra, then you can begin to get purified intelligence, mind and senses, enough to be more sensitive. Otherwise we're so dull, and one of the questions we're supposed to be saying is, why am I suffering and how do I get out of the suffering? But if you ask most people, they say, well, I'm not always 100% happy, but I'm not suffering. So then that means there's no threefold miseries, perceiving any threefold miseries. Then why will you want to change your position or your condition? So we were joking the other day, well then you're either a Premi Bhakta and you're completely surrendered to Rishikesh, and Krishna has ordered Maya to release you, therefore you're not perceiving or feeling any threefold miseries, and all your anxiety, all your disturbance, all of your questions, doubts, everything is answered. If we're not on that platform, then how is it that we think we're fine? And we're just talking about, oh, threefold miseries. But if it's not burning a hole in the side of your head, then we'll not try to solve it, isn't it? That's why Prabhupada said, if you don't feel that you have a problem, you don't need a guru. You don't need a Chaitya guru, you don't need external manifestation of the guru, you don't need Guru Sadhu and Shastra, because that's only where the solution is. If you don't have a problem, you don't need a solution. So all of these things have to be taken into consideration. So we've been talking about Jiva Tattva, and of course Guru Tattva. Many times, no matter what my Guru did talk about, every single day, it always came back to Guru Tattva. It was amazing. You could talk about any topic, and at the end of the day, it was always somehow like Guru Tattva was like the hub of the wheel. So everything is coming and going through the Guru. So everything that's coming from Krishna is being delivered to us through the Guru, inside and out. And then whatever we're trying to offer to Krishna, that is also being offered through the Guru. So coming and going. Prabhupada says it's not that Krishna is just going to directly accept your offering. First you must become qualified. And without receiving Krishna's mercy through the Guru, we cannot even become qualified. And neither will Krishna accept our offering unless it's delivered through his parampara, disciplic succession, because eternally there's a parampara, there's a disciplic succession, there is a hierarchy. And so that has to be drilled into us to understand that this is Krishna's arrangement, that he's not gonna, you cannot just walk up to Krishna. You can't just walk up to even a material world, some important person, and even talk to them. What to speak of, ask them for something or even give them something. So if that's true in the material world, what to speak of the spiritual world? So without going through all of Krishna's most intimate devotees in Goloka Vrindavan, one cannot even come in front of Krishna to render any type of personal seva. So this is an eternal function of the soul, is that we are meant to do the Shravanam, hearing. So hearing on the platform of the soul is the eternal quality and nature of the soul. It's built into the soul. So the soul is always hearing because we're always meant to serve. If we cannot hear and understand, we don't know how to properly serve. So that service attitude and activity is directly tied to understanding and hearing, whether verbal or non-verbal communication. In the spiritual world, everything, a lot of things are done by gestures, and they can understand because they're very beyond subtle. They can understand on gesture platform. With us, we need like bullhorns, microphones to try to understand anything. But there it's much more subtle. Even some persons, even material world, if you really know somebody, you already know them. Many times you don't even have to say anything. Just like a mother, right? Especially mother has some special extra sense for her children, right? Even the children, right, when they're crying, right, they're not saying anything, they're just crying. But the mother knows what is really their problem. So even in the material world, you see this type of intuition and understanding of non-verbal communication of some type of need or desire. So that's also going on in the spiritual world. So the point is that we're eternal servants, means we're meant to eternally hear, and that we're meant to hear in this type of system or hierarchy from Krishna's most intimate devotees. We must always hear them and serve them and then how Krishna and those devotees want to engage us in that eternal devotional service. That's up to them. So all of these things is tied together. Does it make sense? Something. The problem in material world, the hierarchies are always based on, exploitation and control and suffering, and it's always like a very bitter experience because they're not pure. Everyone's materially motivated. It's the cheaters and the cheated, and then people are very sophisticated, and we may be very simple. So naturally, we're more and more cheated. So when you hear about hierarchies and institutions and going through other personalities, right? We have a knee-jerk reaction because we're perceiving that, understanding that from a materialistic point of view. So when we join, then you find out, okay, you're joining an institution. I'm coming from America. They're like very rebellious people by nature. Maybe not as much as the French people. Those people, they can riot and do protests like nobody, right? And if they have to get out guillotines or whatever, hey, whatever it takes, right? So they don't like authorities, right? Where we're from also, we're anti-authorities because we don't like the authorities. We don't like them, we don't trust them. We're smart enough to understand how corrupt they are. But in these other systems, everyone is very much accepting authority. I saw when I first came to Russia how blindly everybody was just accepting authorities. That was very shocking to me because I thought after communism and the Soviet totalitarian regime that they would be very, kind of done with, authority figures. But still, this brainwashing is very long and deep-rooted. And so it's almost built into the DNA, and also the educational system, the social systems, the media, the political systems. So that's what we've been also talking about even in religious institutions. They're using all of those means of manipulation, building philosophies, ideologies, programs, platforms, systems, how to capture the mind, how to control the narrative, how to brainwash you, how to control you, ultimately how to use you, how to exploit you. That's the experience in the material world. And then it's just which ideology and which ism is competing with the other. But Prabhupada says all of these isms are demoniac because the demoniac nature is controlling all of those different ideologies and systems, and then they're just all fighting who's better. I remember when I first heard Prabhupada call democracy demon crazy. And we were like trained like democracy. It was like, the best possible way, democracy, right? And then Prabhupada saying, it's a demon crazies. You get a bunch of crazy people voting and passing some crazy law. Right? This is how there's no leadership. You have the lowest of the low deciding what should be the way of, how you run the society. And these people they don't agree that there should be leaders. There should not be, any type of structure. Many times I say there's, in every advanced culture, in their family, in their society, in the political, discussions, and also in the military, there's always some type of leadership system, because generally people need to be guided. Everybody's looking for some leaders. And the problem is we're just accepting the wrong leaders. And then everyone in politicians, they say everything perfectly well, and they're promising everything to everybody, but how's it possible? So people are going to become disappointed, exploited, fed up. And that's what's going on, once again, but now because of social media, And because of this large bullhorn of controlling the narrative, then more and more people are realizing how this type of manipulation and who's controlling the narrative in the minds and hearts of the people is going on. So there's a competition for what is right, what isn't, what is truth, what is untruth, what is legitimate, what isn't, who's really trying to benefit us, who's trying to exploit us. So people are becoming a lot more thoughtful and introspective, and not just blindly accepting any type of authority figures. So accepting authority is mandatory. The problem is we're accepting the wrong people as authorities. And I remember when I was preaching in Bhubaneswar, many students would come and we would get into these big debates, these big discussions. And they would be so determined to say that the scientists, the scholars, the professors, all these leaders in the society, all of these people, they are the authorities. And you must not question the authorities. And you must just almost blindly follow it. And when I was in Russia and the Baltics, I was asking them, right? All these leaders are arguing, fighting with each other. They don't even agree with each other. And they said, we don't care. They're all absolute. So whatever they say, they are the authorities. And although they're not agreeing with each other on anything, it's still all absolute. So I was like a mind-boggling statement to hear this type of thing. How just accepting authorities like that. So Krishna is the ultimate authority, and Krishna's devotees from the spiritual world to here, and that perfect system from perfect source with the perfect information, that is what needs to be heard. And so basically we're competing. It's competing narrative or canvassing. Prabhupada calls it canvassing. That Krishna's devotees are canvassing us. And then Maya, and those who are in Maya, those who are captured by Maya, representing Maya, they're also giving their presentation and their version of the truth. And then the living entities in the center say, okay, who should I accept? What is true? What isn't? What is real? What isn't? What's in my best interest? What isn't? Who should I trust? Who should I not trust? Who should I follow? Who should I not follow? So it's a very dangerous when we really in a deaf, dumb, and blind situation in a world which is mis and disinformation, where practically everything that is being said is a lie or misrepresentation. And now it's got to such a point that anytime any leaders or any media or anybody makes a statement, you can almost bank on it that it's exactly opposite of whatever they're saying. So if they say this, then it actually means this. People have been so kind of awakened to this type of cheating and manipulation going on by the so-called authorities, that whatever they take, they automatically say it's opposite. They don't trust them. There's no trust. So we're in the middle of that reality, and then here's another person with another presentation, with some more information, sitting there trying to act like some kind of an authority. We're once again challenged. Like again, okay, here's another authority, and then he's talking about a hierarchy, and this is a eternal servant, eternal hearing, eternal surrender, eternal control. And immediately we're like, oh, this sounds familiar. This sounds awful familiar. So we become very like a cynical. Right? That's why when the person came to Prabhupada and said, please come to listen to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada said, no, I'm not interested. I don't want to hear these type of people. But for his friends, he said, okay, I'll go and I'll give you my opinion about this person. Do you have that sweater? My sweater? There's something is there. Yeah. Is that also mine? Yeah. Let me see that. Oh. Just fold that nicely, man, will ya? It's like in a ball and throw it in. Didn't your mother ever train you how to fold clothes? It's so funny, the brahmachari, I said, can you just put this sweater in your bag for later? And they go, okay. And they like jam it in the bag, And then I'm like embarrassed to like pull it out, you have an iron or something? Looks a little wrinkled. I remember my Gurudev, some brahmachari, some person, not brahmachari, they'll come, and then Gurudev said, you cannot wear stripes and this plaid. You correct them. You cannot wear striped pants and plaid shirt. Like it doesn't match. I said, like a mother, it's like you're going out into the public, mother, father, that doesn't match, doesn't look good, doesn't look sane. People will question, if you have a mother and father, did they let you out of the house like that? Right? So, what are we talking about? Do you like this stuff?
Yes.
I'm just painting like the context of the reality of the situation we're in. And especially in a world where everything's about data and information and presentations and narratives and persuasion and sales and marketing. We're in the middle of all of that, materially and spiritually, trying to figure out what's what should you buy, what should you not buy, what you should accept, what we should not accept. So this is a very, very confusing time. And for us to just think that we can just manage it and figure it out by ourselves is complete foolishness. Even from material, political, geopolitical point of view, everything is purposeful mis and disinformation. So the highest authorities, the people that everyone's listening to, the people that everyone's trusting, they're purposefully saying exactly the opposite, on purpose. And then they're thinking, well, later I'll explain to you why we had to do it like that. Right? So then you get to the point like, who's really speaking the truth? What's really true? What isn't? And that's what Maya does. What's true? What isn't? What's real? What's not? Who to trust? Who not to trust? What canvassing is pure? What canvassing is for exploitation and manipulation? That's the condition we find ourselves in, especially in the Kali Yuga, with no real qualifications, spiritually or materially. That's why we have to be so much dependent on Krishna for the intelligence and faith, the discernment, be able to understand what is what, because it's way too complicated. Prabhupada said this world is a world of perplexities, and it's designed that way. So we are, vulnerable to being cheated in this world. This is a world of the cheaters and the cheated. So how do we not get cheated? And I remember my Gurudev said that when we don't want to get cheated, then we give up our simplicity. Right? Because we think if I'm too simple, I'll get cheated. So then we have to be very, not simple, not trusting. And we understand why, but the problem is that Gurudev said that when you give up your simplicity, that means it's all now mental platform, intellectual platform, falsical platform, material platform. Then you're going to get cheated anyway. So you gave up your simplicity and you're cheated anyway. So it's like if you give up your simplicity and then it helps you not to get cheated, then that's one thing. But if we give up the simplicity and then we're cheated anyway, then you're lost on both sides. Neither you're simple and neither it protected you. And that was like, when I heard that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So then how do you maintain, because Prabhupada all the time is talking about find people who are simple-hearted, who are innocent, pure-hearted, even if they don't know anything. If you can preach this absolute truth from Krishna, Krishna Parampara, Guru Sadhu Shastra, and they're very simple. If it's really pure, Prabhupada said purity is the force. If it's pure, the motivation is pure, the information is pure, and it's in the best interest of that soul. If they're simple enough, they'll immediately hear that. They'll immediately, my Gurudevs say, it has a ring of truth. That Krishna, as Paramatma Chaitya Guru, will give you intelligence and faith. That this is, anyway, this is correct. When I met my spiritual master, I was talking to Devaki today. I didn't go there looking for a guru. And he was speaking transcendental information and knowledge. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Okay. Many people are speaking philosophy. Okay. So this is just another person's presentation of the philosophy. Still, I'm not saying, okay, he's my guru. Right? Here's just another gentleman. That's all I could perceive. It's more or less his understanding of Prabhupada's books and teachings. But I don't think he's my guru. But when his vibration and information hit me, and it shook me, and it purified me, and it humbled me, and he brought me to a different state of consciousness by his mercy, by his potency, by Krishna empowering Mahaprabhu, empowering him. Then I could see the effects of this person's vibration. It's almost only later I tried to remember what was he saying. Okay, you're deaf, dumb, and blind. Okay, he's humbling us out. I don't realize I'm deaf, dumb, and blind. So Prabhupada said you judge everything by the effect. So it must have the ring of truth. It must be in the sampradaya. It must be according to Guru Sadhu and Shastra. Those are like preliminary protections. But even that's not enough, because Krishna must manifest in such a way that we can perceive the effect of that association and Krishna's manifestation through the Shastra and through Ganta Bhagavata, Bhakta Bhagavata. And if that is not there, and we don't have that intelligence and faith of that reality, that experience, that undeniable result, we're still not going to accept it as absolute. We're not going to give up our doubting, skeptical, suspicious, challenging, complicated, non-simple mood. And if we don't do that, there's no question of just submissive our reception. So first we have to realize, okay, the doctor's right, the medicine is right. Now what is the effect of the medicine? Then if you get a great effect, it gives you faith in the medicine, it gives you faith in the doctor and the medicine, because now you're perceiving the effect. And then the doctor says, okay, if all that's going nice, so let me just give you more nice medicine and let's see how it goes. So then you're a little bit more trusting, you're a little bit more trusting the doctor and the medicine, you're taking more willingly that medicine, and then you're seeing what is the effect, because Krishna-katha, Hari-katha Krishna-katha, that's the medicine. So everybody, all the preachers, all the teachers, all the gurus, all the sannyasis, all the, what do they call it, this program? With all the counselors, right? Everybody's saying Krishna, talking Krishna philosophy, right? And it might even be technically, okay, Guru Sadhu Shastra, although it can be apparent versus absolute consideration. That's another topic. But let's just say they're sincerely trying to read Prabhupada's books and talk about it as sincere as they can be. But how do we know that the presentation is absolute? How do we know that it's empowered? How do we know when empowered means that Krishna directly is manifesting there? Only you can see by the results. That's why I always talk about that if we're not sincere in our hearing and chanting, then why Krishna will manifest? And then if Krishna doesn't manifest, then we're just, a bunch of guys and ladies in the insane asylum talking about esoteric topics. And then who has the best memory? Right? Who can bring some more interesting kind of concept? Then we say, okay, that person's more advanced. Like this. So, we can read something? You don't mind? Hare Krishna. You guys look nervous, man. This is like a serious class. Even I'm getting nervous. Like, what am I saying? It's like a heavy. Does that feel heavy? A little heavy? We went higher. We thought it would be lighter. So, I was continuing our studying of this Mahavishnu in Nidra Yoga and Jiva Tattva, and then I was thinking all of this discussion about the Lord in His incarnations. It's really Isha Tattva, means the Tattva of the Supreme Absolute Truth, the Lord Himself. So all these tattvas are interconnected, because everything is interconnected to Krishna. It's just from what angle are you looking at it from, and what is the purpose of the Lord's manifestation and the function of His incarnations, the purpose, all of these things can be looked at different way. So I started reading Prabhupada's class that he gave in Bombay, March 30, 1974, Bhagavad Gita, and the 410, and I was reading it looking for one thing, and then I saw also other things. So it was like actually a nice class which brings into the conversation, connects many of the things that we have been discussing. Are you awake? Mataji, you look sad. What's wrong? You tired? Are you worried? What are you worrying about? Are you nervous? You can say. Any question, point, before we start? Do you have another topic you want to talk about? She's getting old. That's the topic. She's running out of time. She's still speculating. She's running out of time. Right? Sometimes her mind is nice and she feels happy. And sometimes she hears something, speculates something, worries about something, then her mind becomes disturbed, then she's not so happy. Yes? Am I going to get in trouble? I don't mind. Krishna Swami. It's my companion. We're always together. It's like military person, right? They always have like a gun with them, even when they're sleeping. Right? They're on the bus, they're in the car. Even they're visiting their mother, they always have the gun, like machine gun is there, isn't it? Because they know they're living in a dangerous world, dangerous place. This is not fit place for any gentleman or lady. So,
Just actually, I wanted to share question. I don't have any question. I just wanted to share what you were telling that this is the situation, this is the condition where lot of confusion is going on authorities.
inside of our own heads
Yeah.
and in the society.
Yeah, like you were saying that
I know what I was saying.
yeah, that regarding the authorities and the gurus, because a lot of cheating is going on. Everybody is trying to establish themselves and
Everyone's trying to what?
establish themselves materially for some exploitation.
You're trying to establish Krishna's truth. Now it's up to Krishna, if it's accurate enough and it's realized enough, then that truth from Krishna's presentation will hit you. You have ring of truth. Krishna will convince you. As soon as you start adding and subtracting anything, Krishna does not enter into that speculation. As soon as you put adding and subtracting, manufacturing, concocting, feelings, emotions, sentiment, I was perfect knowledge and present perfect knowledge as it is, that's parampara. That's where Krishna will manifest himself. That's the very definition of parampara. Prabhupada says, one who has perfectly heard perfect knowledge, he'll be a very nice speaker. So if you don't perfectly hear and you don't understand it by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, you cannot properly speak it and not add or subtract anything from that presentation. It's not possible. You won't even know that you're adding and subtracting anything, because you're not rooted in the truth. So your temporary, perception of the truth and what you think you're rooted in, if it's not according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, from an absolute perspective, not from a sentimental or philosophical, apparent perspective. Well, this is my definition of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. No, what is Krishna's definition of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra? Now, who hears Krishna, Krishna's presentation, internally, externally, and through the Shastra, well, Krishna's the witness and the judge of who's putting faith, unflinching faith in Guru and Krishna and the Shastra. Krishna will be the witness and judge of that. And then he'll purify, control mind and senses so that you understand it absolutely and perfectly, so that when you present it, you know what is the truth. You know whether something's added or something is subtracted. Otherwise, how will you know? Unless Krishna convinces you. So the only way you can know is if Krishna 100% convinces you. That's why Prabhupada says Krishna will give you intelligence and faith to understand it. And unless you have that mercy from Krishna, and from Krishna through the Guru, pure via medium of Krishna, and to the Shastra, then you didn't receive the mercy of Krishna, Guru, or the Shastra, Chaitya Guru, external Guru. So that's where all Krishna's intelligence comes from. Guru, Shastra, Atma Rupa. So without Krishna, we cannot realize Krishna internally or externally or manifesting, speaking through the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's impossible. And one of the signs of one who has gotten Krishna's mercy is he'll send you to bona fide Guru in Parampara. Because that's the Guru that Krishna is sending you, means that you need and deserve and require a pure via medium of Krishna. If we don't want to hear from Krishna, you don't need a purifier medium. We're just acting as our own purifier medium. When Krishna really knows this person really wants to hear me inside and outside and to the Shastra, Krishna is the witness and judge of that. And the first installment of Krishna's mercy is he'll give you bona fide guru in Parampara. And now you'll hear Krishna inside. And Prabhupada says, what will the conditioned soul hear from Paramatma Chaitya Guru, from the inside? The only thing the conditioned soul will hear from Paramatma Chaitya Guru is, you should accept that person as your Guru. Everything will be delivered. Whatever you need to know from me is going to be delivered through that purifier medium of that Guru. But if you ask devotees, whatever they're feeling, whatever they're thinking, whatever their emotion is, right, it's all Super Soul. It's all Krishna prompting. My Gurudev laughed and he said, it's just Maya prompting. But somehow convincing you that you're advanced and therefore what you're thinking and feeling is automatically Krishna. But it's actually Maya prompting you. And when Prabhupada talks about it, he says, especially for conditioned soul who's not yet liberated platform, the only thing the Super Soul will tell you is who you should surrender to in terms of the Guru and how to do the submissive hour reception. Because all the information from Krishna is going to be delivered through the Guru using the Shastra, Guru Sada Shastra, as the vehicle to be able to deliver that information within the structure of that scientific process. So, what are we hearing? You talk to devotees with devotees, Krishna's telling me to do like this and that, and I'm deciding what Krishna wants, right? You ask most devotees, they'll say no. Definitely, I'm praying to Krishna, and then Krishna's giving me intelligence, and I'm just trusting and just following what Krishna's telling, right? And then you hear from, someone who understands the science and say Krishna just doesn't set it up that way. That's not the reality. Krishna said, what is it? Tadvidi pranipatena paripastena sevaya upate shantite jnanam jnaninas tattva darshana. If you want to understand me in tattva, in truth, then you must surrender to my representative in the parampara and humbly serve him, listen to him, hear him, become qualified. And as you become more and more conscious and more sensitive and more intelligent, then the questions and your doubts will come to the surface, then get it cleared by them, and Krishna will manifest and speak through them and answer those things in such a way that if it's from Krishna, it will convince your soul. That's perfect knowledge from perfect source. Then your knowledge is perfect. So Prabhupada said that if you sincerely, seriously want to surrender to Krishna, Krishna will know it inside. He'll mark it and say, okay, this person is looking for me. And then Krishna will send you, Prabhupada said Krishna will send you a very nice guru. He'll dictate to you. Right? So when you ask any devotee, right, thousands of devotees, everyone has a guru, right? Did the Super Soul dictate to you? Did you wait for a dictation from the Super Soul to accept your guru? How many people will say? Some may say, no, Krishna definitely inspired me, I was attracted. No. If you don't know the Super Soul, and you can't hear the Super Soul, and He not purified your intelligence, mind, and senses, and He's not dictating to you that 100% Krishna telling you you should accept that person as your guru, then you didn't get Krishna's mercy. You didn't get Guru's mercy. We got cheated because we don't understand the philosophy. Oh, God, Krishna is in everyone's heart. He's giving knowledge and intelligence. So since He's in my heart, whatever knowledge and intelligence is coming, that's coming from Krishna. Because we're devotees. and we join the religious institution, and we're doing sadhana, and we're chanting, and we're doing seva, and we're studying the books, of course it's Krishna. Right? Sham, who is it? Who's talking to you right now, man? Who are you listening to? You know, when I was thinking about this today, that, you know, we're making like a joke, like everyone's asking questions, and these guys were like competing, like, you know, right? It's like left, right, hands going up, microphones being, you know, like traded, flying in the air. It was like, all right, whose microphone has more power in it? Which one's louder? And I was just thinking that, you know, when Gurudev would explain, you never heard before, and the more information you have, naturally it's going to crash up against different teams diametrically opposed. So then it's like, okay, how do you reconcile that? First you said this, and you see Arjuna, right, in different places. And first Krishna, first you said like this, but then you said like this, right? First you said work, and then you're saying, you know, don't work, and then you're saying work in devotion. So it all seems to be very contradictory. And so it's confusing. And then instead of understanding how to get that reconciled from Krishna, we're saying, okay, I'm a devotee, I'm chanting, I'm studying, I'm reading, right? So Krishna's, he's in the heart, and he's giving intelligence and faith. So since we're devotees, and Krishna's in our heart, and therefore we're just trusting. And then our pride is telling, yes, we're devotee, we have intelligence, ability to hear directly Krishna. We're miscalculating our adhikar, or what is our actual spiritual platform. And then we're just tying it all together with a lot of emotion and sentiment. And then we're therefore taking that all as coming from the super soul, coming from Krishna. But it's Maya dressing up as Krishna. It's like, you know, Maya's dressing up like Shirodakshayi Vishnu, like at Halloween or something, you know? Huh? Yeah, some forearms, some kind of extra arms on the top, they're falling off, and right? So it's for a regular person who has no karma, no jnana, no yoga, no bhakti, nothing. How are you gonna know what's coming from Krishna, what's coming from Maya? And then you have everybody claiming like there's some kind of an authority, and you should trust their opinion, and they're all saying something different in most cases. And that's so confusing. You're like, you know what, thank you everyone for trying to help me, I'll just figure it out myself. Isn't it? When you go for other people's help, and then all that so-called help makes the problem seem worse. And then you're like, at the end of the day, we have to make up our own mind anyway, because we are responsible for ourselves. And then we finally make the final decision. Well, who's guiding that intelligence, mind, and senses? Who's guiding that decision? The decision-making process and the conclusion. What are we concluding? What have we decided on? Who is that coming from? Is it coming from Krishna? Or is it coming from Maya? And then it was so foolish, we're like, well, I don't even really care. As long as I believe it's coming from Krishna, I can live with that. Because then even if it's wrong, Krishna will know that I'm sincere. So my reaction and punishment won't be as bad. Like we can cheat Krishna. Right? If we're so sincere, then why we're not asking Krishna, and why Krishna's not just telling us? So what are we defining as our sincerity if we're not genuinely having faith in asking Krishna, and neither we're qualified to be able to hear Krishna's answer or instruction? what is our sincerity? What platform is that sincerity on? Is it on sentimental, intellectual platform? It's obviously not on soul platform. If it's on soul platform, then Krishna will directly tell you, you'll directly hear Krishna, and then we'll pray for strength and intelligence to execute it. Crystal clear. So why it's not crystal clear? Because of Maya's playing around and manipulating, contaminating, disturbing different thoughts. One day it's like, yes, 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 yes. Next day it's like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. So mind is accepting, rejecting, accepting, rejecting, accepting, rejecting. So we have to see that that reaction of the mind is the proof that your understanding is on mental platform. Because the truth is the truth eternally. It never changes. So if Krishna convinces you of the absolute truth, that's never going to change. Regardless of who it is, regardless of who's saying what, it doesn't change anything. Because Krishna convinced you. If everything's changing and we're bewildered and confused and accepting and rejecting, that means it just means Krishna didn't convince us. We're still ignorant in knowing, what Krishna wants us to do. And if that's true, I'm not your judge, I'm just saying if that's true, that just means that we're not as sincere as maybe we think we are. So then all of a sudden now we're questioning our own seriousness, our own surrender, our own, sincerity. Then maybe we'll not be so quick to rush to some type of conclusion of what we think is coming from Krishna and what isn't. Does it make sense? I don't even know if I'm answering your question. But I remember that in beginning I didn't really have so many questions. Because, I was already devotee for some years. I had a basic understanding. I had faith that somehow Prabhupada and Krishna brought me to Gurudev. And then I was just happy to be there and hearing some classes. But then as I was listening more and more and more, I started, like my brain started working or something. Like it just clicked on one day, It was like shut off for a long time. Then all of a sudden it was like, wow, I can think again. That was a revelation in itself. But then there's a problem with that, because now all of a sudden, now you're just going to think and speculate everything away. Now all of a sudden, how do you reconcile all of those things? So if you understand that Krishna is speaking the Bhagavatam, he's the speaker of the Bhagavatam, and he's speaking through pure via medium of the spiritual master, and you're convincing Krishna internally that you were trying to understand something, and you're praying to Krishna to help you to understand it, now it's up to Krishna how he's going to deliver that answer. And Krishna will say, okay, this person's not speculating, they're not thinking they can figure it out, they're not depending on the material intelligence, mind or senses, the normal way of the material knowledge gathering processes, right? Because Krishna knows, as soon as you go by, it's like you go by your intelligence, you go by your mind, you go by your senses, right? It's like, where are you going? You're looking for super soul, you're looking for Krishna. And Krishna is just watching. Okay, is his intellect, his mind, his senses, his feelings, his emotions, his misconceptions, his misunderstanding, his pride, his arrogance, his speculation. Is he getting by all of those things? Is any of that catching him, distracting him? Is he depending on any of those things? No. You're going like a beeline, just directly to Krishna. and asking Krishna, humble state of mind, please help me to understand these things. Because it seems confusing, it seems opposite things. I'm trying to reconcile it, I'm trying to see it all in the context, in your mission, in your philosophy, and how everything is tied to you. That's between your soul and Krishna. And Krishna is the witness and the judge. And he'll say whether you really went to him and had faith in him and were depending on him and you were begging to hear his words and his instruction, and you're going to submissively, humbly accept it, Krishna will know that perfectly well. And then Krishna will convince you. So why are we not convinced? Why are we still speculating? Why are we still worried? Why are we still trying to figure it out? Why does it seem so complicated? Why are we still building different, castles in the sky? All the different plans. Why we're plan making? Why we're building contingency plans? You know what is contingency plans? What is it? Backup plans, exactly. Okay, if this doesn't work, then I go like this, and then I go there. Right? You get some extra passports, some cash in the safe, maybe a gun. Right? Then you go back into, spy mode. Try to get across the border. Get to the next ISKCON temple. Hope there's something different there. Then they ask you who you are and just give a different name. And then they try to find out what is your history. And then you just say, well, Prabhupada said, don't bother trying to figure out the history, because we've been around since time immemorial. So I'm just following Prabhupada's instructions, not to worry about all of that stuff. I'm just trying to get purified. Isn't it like that? Can I have that other one? I'm not trying to convince myself. All right? I'm not speaking to try to convince myself. I'm trying to convince you of that same truth. I don't need to, I'm not on a mental platform trying to understand. It's by mercy of Guru and Krishna. Listen to me. Why would you want to listen to me? Especially if it's very dangerous. What is it?
Life and death.
Huh?
Life and death.
Life and death. I was just going to say not politically correct. What kind of institution is he in that something that's not politically correct automatically means life and death? I'm just saying, that's another question. I mean, we're talking about getting safes with guns and passports, and this is like, escaping the Nazi, regime, trying to get out. The mind police, right? They have the mind police. If you present the truth, according to Guru Sadhana Shastra, it's up to everybody to decide whether they want that information or not. You can't force anybody. I remember one time I was preaching went to the Rath Yatras in America, and I went to Philadelphia. That's where they started the American Revolution. Not started the revolution, but that's where they made the Constitution. But they asked me to speak in the tent, like this, to all the young people. and they said, Maharaj, can you speak to all the young people? I said, I'll be happy. I'd love to preach. I'd love to try to help them. And then they had like 3 or 4 like senior devotees, a couple Matajis. They look like sergeants in the military, you know, like militant Matajis. They were like tough, you know. They didn't have guns though. It wasn't that bad. And they said, you know, Maharaj, before you go in there. And I'm like, go in there? What's in there? I mean, they're like warning me, before you go in there. And I'm like, what am I going to see in there? I thought it was a bunch of young people. And they said, no. That when you preach to these people, don't say anything about the 4 regulative principles, about surrendering to Krishna, about, and they gave me like a list of like 10 things, right? And at the end of those 10 things, I was like, I don't know what to say to these people now. Like if I can't say those 10 things, then what else am I supposed to tell them? So this is not, you know, you cannot do like that. Did that answer your question? Point? Sham? You good? Is it getting cold up there? It's meant to wake you up. How about you? How you doing? Yeah? You've been through Vietnam, Afghanistan, Syria. He looks like a Syrian ISIS fighter, man. The guy's a terrorist, man. We got Nazis, we got ISIS, Al-Qaeda, we got Kurdish terrorists. Everybody can get mercy. I don't even know where to go from here, because I'm just getting started. You guys are wondering what time dinner is. I can feel it. Yeah, 5 o'clock. It's like an alarm goes off. Now we're like, it's like a ticking bomb. Like anything after 5, it's like this thing could blow up. You know. You're fine up till 5. Once it hits 5 o'clock, like every second it's like cheek, 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 cheek. So let me just find something quick to talk to you about, just so you don't think I'm speculating. Everyone's getting excited, huh? All right, let's see. This is all too philosophical for you right now. Oh, here's one. Krishna is talking about in Bhagavad Gita, Janma, Karma Chame Devyam Yo Yati Tattvataha, 4-9 Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, one who knows transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving his body, take this birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Now it says that Krishna incarnates and manifests unlimitedly. You cannot count, innumerably. You cannot count how and where Krishna is manifesting. There's predominant categories of incarnations, but at the same time within those, I think it's 6 categories of different types of manifestations or incarnations, it's also unlimited. So it's unlimited within 6 main categories. And so one who can understand how and where Krishna is manifesting and how and why he's manifesting in that particular way. That means Krishna revealing himself. So only one who gets mercy of Krishna, Guru Sadhu Shastra, only they can understand. Otherwise nobody can understand. Krishna says, I'll just keep myself hidden from you. So one who knows the transcendental nature. Now Prabhupada says in this purport, in previous verse it has been said tattvataha. So one who knows in tattva. That's why it says here in English, one who knows the transcendental nature. So we're devotees, we know the transcendental nature of the Lord, right? But Prabhupada says in tattvataha means, in tattva means in truth, not superficially. So again, a parvichar, apparent consideration, tattva vichar. So everything that Krishna is doing ultimately is meant to be understood and received and heard from tattva vichar consideration. Otherwise it's superficial, sentimental, speculative platform. Prabhupada says if we study Krishna superficially, then I shall accept another rascal, competitor of Krishna. Because we don't know what is Krishna. Muda, abhajaniti mam muda. So, if Krishna does not reveal himself, this is what we're talking about. If Krishna does not completely reveal himself in tattva, then we'll not be able to understand and judge where and how he's manifesting. Because we don't know Krishna, we don't know, we're not fixed in the absolute truth. So if we don't have that mercy of Guru Krishna, Guru Sarva Shastra, then we have nothing, what are we comparing? We're not fixed in the absolute truth. So this is Prabhupada nicely explaining that this knowledge and knowing how Krishna is manifesting, knowing the transcendental nature. So how can we, if we're in the modes of material nature, tamagun, rajagun, how we're going to know the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and activities? Unless we ourselves are on that transcendental platform, we cannot understand the transcendental nature of the appearance and activities of the Supreme Lord. So how is it that in our kind of misconception that we're still influenced in bodily concept of life under Tamagun and Rajagun, but when we read that Bhagavad Gita verse, we say, no, it says one who knows the transcendental nature. We know the transcendental nature of the appearance and the activities of the Lord. Therefore, because we know that, when we leave this body, we're going back to Godhead, and we never have to come back again. So we're making a lot of assumptions there, isn't it? You ever see in ISKCON when someone dies, everyone always says, yes, he went back to Radha and Krishna. Right? He's with Prabhupada, he's preaching and some other, right? The guy just died yesterday, It's like they like fly in to get like a camera shot next to the dead body. Right? Right? They're like, can you just, even though he died 3 days ago, just we need a video shoot that we're all chanting while he's leaving his body. Just act like he didn't leave his body yet. Okay? Because devotee care department, right? We rushed there in his final moments and we sent him off back to Goloka Vrindavan to be with Prabhupada. Right? And it's always the same characters. Right? They have like the inside list of who's getting ready to die, Who's getting ready to leave their body. And then the devotee care department, they buy the tickets, they get the flowers, right? They get the video cameraman to show up. And then the devotee care, then they all go and do their drama. Right? The fake tears, emotion. I'm so cynical, so, I don't know what it is, man. But I just noticed every time someone dies, immediately it's the same guys there, right? And then it's like they're always interviewing him. What happened? Yes, when he left his body, and then no matter what it is, they find something that was like, auspicious. It's like someone hits a tree, not Sanatan, but someone hits a tree like 15 kilometers from here, right, out of the dam, and then they're trying to say, well, it was only 8 miles to Advaitacharya's house. Serious. They just somehow or other like try to make it like auspicious,
Was it a neem tree?
Huh?
He drove into a neem tree or something?
Anyway.
Banyan tree.
This is English humor. It's very dark people. We got Nazis, we got ISIS, we got French revolutionaries. Everybody's getting mercy. Everybody's getting mercy. So this is all going on, man. And then the worst part is when you know the guy. He's a nice person. He tried to be devotee. And all of a sudden they're describing him. And it's like, my God, I didn't know he was a saint. I didn't know he was such a saint. And then they're trying to determine like which day every year, he should be celebrated. With Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami, and it's like, my God, how do you get in that list? Who put him on that list? Must have been the devotee care department, right? Because otherwise they don't just go and cry in front of anybody. If they said he went back to Golok Vrindavan, you better give him his own special day, man. Right? I'm gonna go to hell, man. Please excuse me. Might as well get my association before that happens, you know what I mean? I have to be careful with my sense of humor because you guys are already too mental. So any potential joke or statement that I make, it's like, this could throw you off, man. So Sergey's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm concerned with what are you saying? It's like you had a nice kirtan yesterday, everyone enthusiastic, right? And I'm like, it like woke me up, right? It's like you're waking up Mahavishnu. It was so ecstatic it even woke me up. And you're like, why is this guy always just waking up? Right? No matter which time of the day it is, the kirtan just woke him up. Right? I'm concerned about this. I don't know now. That's why I say I have to be careful, because if I make some joke, you may take that part as absolute. And then the absolute part, you're like, I don't know. Right? So the Guru Sada Shastra part, you're just like skeptical. Right? And then the joke you're taking is like, that's absolute. What does he mean by that? What's the hidden meaning behind that? What's the tattva behind that? No, it's just a joke. So I have to be careful. Any other questions while we're here? In tattvataha, in truth. Not sentimentally, superficially, intellectually. Not that platform. But if all you know is that platform, then how can you consider a platform that you don't know? Then how do you compare it? So first you need to understand that platform by the mercy of Guru Krishna. Then you can compare it. Otherwise, what are you comparing? It's like Buddhist, like Sunyavadi, like zero, right? So if you don't go with the superficial, philosophical, sentimental, intellectual platform, what's beyond that? What does it mean not to listen to any of that? Well, then who do you listen to? And then how do you know that that's coming from Krishna? Is it? Uh-oh. Yeah?
So, like, is Tatiksha platform, like Tatiksha region,
The what?
Tatiksha region,
Tatasta. Yeah.
Tatastha region, is it spiritual or is it material platform?
It's in between. Depends what consciousness you're in. It's compared to like in the beach, right? Like the tide goes down and then it comes up. So sometimes it's the water, sometimes it's sand. Sometimes we're in spiritual consciousness, sometimes we're more influenced by the material consciousness. Do you want to stay there? Do you want to be like a crab? And just dig into the ground? And then it doesn't matter if it's sand or water? Then you can adjust either way? That's what he wants. Be careful what you desire, you know what I mean? So out of all the things that you can possibly worry about, you would probably not be able to sleep tonight without understanding whether that, what is it called, Tatastha region is spiritual or material. It's so serious that without answering that question, he wouldn't be able to eat anything. That's how serious this conversation is. So it's all philosophy, it's our philosophy. We should understand all of that to the best of our ability, according to Guru Saran Shastra. And the points I wanted to discuss today, which for some reason I didn't get onto it, but it was basically talking about the greatness of Krishna as coming as Mahaprabhu, and manifesting and breathing unlimited universes, unlimited planets, unlimited living entities. This is the amazing quality. I can read that point of Krishna. Prabhupada is making this point. Otherwise, if we don't understand how great God is, then why would we think, oh yes, this is very important, I should surrender to this personality? If you just think it's like just more or less same, it doesn't like impel you to want to surrender to God, right? Prabhupada says here, in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma is talking about the greatness of Krishna. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. And if we study that Brahma Samhita, it's talking about how Krishna is coming and manifesting in all of these unlimited universes, and how he's entering into every atom, and every cell of every living entity, and unlimited planets, and unlimited universes. Prabhupada said this is another explanation of how great Krishna really is, that just by his one plenary expansion, he is maintaining the whole material creation. So unlimited material universes, unlimited Brahmas, unlimited planets, unlimited living entities, within every single atom of all of that material creation, Krishna, by one incarnation as Mahavishnu, one plenary expansion, is maintaining the whole material creation. That's how great Krishna is. It's the greatness of Krishna. Just by one plenary expansion, he's managing millions, Jagat Ananda, unlimited universes. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 10:42, what need is there, Arjuna, of all of this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. So Krishna himself is talking about just a single part of myself. I am pervading, manifesting, controlling, supporting the entire universe. And not only just one universe, unlimited universes. So this Krishna in the form of Mahavishnu, which he says, my plenary portion, is for the creation of this material world. So when Krishna wants to give prema, he comes as Mahaprabhu. When Krishna wants to create, he comes as Mahavishnu in order to create this material realm, which is considered to be 1/4 of the total creation. Then Brahma and unlimited Brahmas and all the other lords and demigods of the mundane material world, they all are appearing from the pores of the hair of Mahavishnu. And then they remain alive as long as the duration of one breath of Mahavishnu. So the total creation is just staying alive for one breath. Are you following this? So Lord Brahma says, I adore that primeval Lord Govinda, of whose subjective personality, Mahavishnu, is the portion of the portion. So Lord Brahma is understanding that the Mahavishnu is the appearance of the Lord in the material world. That's that Lord, the primeval Lord, that Avatari Govinda is manifesting as Mahavishnu. Prabhupada says that and innumerable universes are coming out. Innumerable universes are coming out of the hair holes of the body of Mahavishnu. Thank God he's sleeping. You know what I mean? If all that's going on, it's just like, okay, let it happen, right? Let it happen. He's in his own internal, he never leaves Vrindavan. Even Mahavishnu is thinking about the gopis. And at the same time, he's creating. Because that's Govinda, right? Govinda's Brajavasi, right? He's from Vrindavan. Lord Brahma is saying, I adore that Lord Govinda from Brajabhumi, who when he wants to create the material world, he's simultaneously manifesting as Mahavishnu. He's breathing, he's within the Karana ocean, the causal ocean. He's sleeping. Yoga Nidra, again that word. And while he's sleeping, in his yoga nidra, his transcendental trance, samadhi, innumerable universes are coming out through his breathing and from the air holes on his body. What happened?
Scratching sound of the mic.
Then it says here that the children are all yelling, and Prabhupada says, can you please stop that child from yelling? I'm glad, because sometimes I tell the children to be quiet or bring the children out of there. Everyone gets uptight with me, you know. But you can't, how are you going to talk about, you know, Mahavishnu, you know, breathing innumerable universes and have some kid screaming? It's like, you know, because he wants to eat something. You know what I mean? You guys are like kids like that. Now it's 5. Pretty soon everyone, everyone's mind will stop. Hungry. So this is the greatness of Krishna. This is Mahavishnu. He's only Kala Vishesha. Kala means that he is a portion of the plenary portion. So all the incarnations of Vishnu, Krishna described in Srimad Bhagavatam, and in the conclusion of all of those incarnations of Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam, the conclusion is, Ete chamsa kala pumsa Krishnas tu Bhagavan Swayam. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28. So Krishna's name is also there. But just to make a distinction between all the avatars and Krishna, whose avatari, it is concluded, Ete, all of them are cha amsa. So all of them, some of them are plenary portions, some of them are portions of the plenary portions, but the name Krishna, which is there, Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam, that is being stated there in Srimad Bhagavatam. That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source and cause of all causes. So Prabhupada says, so we have to study. And in India, study means to learn. I learned that. Because before I thought study means you just read and you study, right? But then I heard some Indian devotees talking. Or I think Prabhupada was asking, you know, which grade are you studying in? Right? Which grade are you hearing in? So then I understood the study is a process of realizing it, trying to understand it and realizing it. So Prabhupada says, if we are serious students of Krishna, then in the Shastra, everything is there. So when we understand the greatness of Krishna, then we become more attached to Krishna. The more attached, the greatness of the Lord will attract us. The more that we hear about the greatness of Krishna, the grandeur, the power, the position of Krishna, the opulences of Krishna, the more attractive that is, the more attached we will become. Suppose the man is in a very exalted position. Even in the material world, you see some person in an exalted position, he attracts attention. Sometimes you see these famous, you know, celebrities and personalities, and right, they walk in the airport or they walk right there, everybody stop just to stare at them. There's some kind of shakti, some type of attraction that they have. So the more they have, the more exalted position that person in, everyone becomes attracted. He attracts attention. So similarly, if we know the greatness of Krishna, If you do not understand, you do not know the greatness of Krishna, then you're like this Dr. Frog. Kupa Manduka Nyaya. Is that right? Mr. Frog philosophy. Okay. Maybe he's a little greater than me. That's all. Okay, he's great, but maybe he's just a little greater than me. Right? So if we consider Krishna, Krishna's representative, he's just the ordinary, more or less the same, then why will we think to accept them, to surrender to them, to listen to them? So they must have something that is obviously clear to us that it's more, and more greatness is there, more advancement is there, more mercy is there than we presently have. So then we're all becoming beggars of mercy. If we're smart, wherever there's mercy available, we say, I need mercy. Beggars of mercy. If we're puffed up, proud, we cannot beg for mercy. So Prabhupada is saying that if you understand the greatness of Krishna, you'll be much more attracted to him, more attached to him, and understand that, yes, this is the worthy personality that we should surrender and dedicate, devote our lives to. If one understands Krishna's position in Tattva, then he'll become liberated person. So we read that from a Parvachar point of view. You say, okay, I understand Krishna's position. I understand his transcendental natural position, his appearance and his activities, because I'm a devotee. We're devotees. Of course we understand that, right? Then you just leap and say, that's why I'm a liberated person. Because Prabhupada said, if you accept Krishna's position and you understand it, which we think we do, then you're a liberated person. And then if we're thinking we're from Golok Vrindavan, then what's liberation? What's moksha? If we're all Nitya Siddhas, Premi Bhaktas, eternal associates of the Lord from Brajabhumi, what is mere liberation? This is small potatoes. He's liberated person because he knows the transcendental nature of the appearance and activities of the Lord. So do we know about the transcendental appearance and activities of the Lord? We're devotees, of course we do, right? But if we're not on that transcendental platform, then how can we truly realize in tattva, in truth, the transcendental nature of the appearance and activities of the Lord? Whatever's coming in our head, we're thinking that's coming from Krishna. Whatever feelings and emotions we're perceiving and speculating on, oh, that's coming from Krishna. Everything's connected to Krishna. How do you say it's not coming from Krishna? You just twist the philosophy around a little bit, right? Then it all sort of fits at the end, you know? It might be very abstract. It's like an abstract painting puzzle. So if you're starting with the idea that it's abstract painting, right? It kind of doesn't matter which part goes where. Then you're like, wow, I put everything in its right place. And then you show it, and it's like abstract painting, which is basically like an expansion of our mental speculation on drugs. Or you had some elephant with a paintbrush. Sometimes this elephant is painting with the trunk. They put seriously, a very famous elephant. Get a big paintbrush, and he gets different colors, and he's just using his chunk, and he's painting everything, right? They're putting a frame on it, selling it for like millions of dollars. Seriously, look it up. I'm not making this up. And everyone's like, this is unbelievable. This is abstract art by an elephant. This is worth, millions of dollars. How often do you get an elephant making abstract art? So it's a very rare piece. Who knows how long that elephant's going to live? This could be a collector's item someday. So we're all ready to sign up for that, thinking that's great, right? Of course we know the transcendental nature of the appearance and activities of the Lord. Come on, that's ABCs, it's in the Bhagavad Gita. We're reading Sandarbhas now. Why are you insulting me? We're getting ready to do Raganuga, Baba. Prabhupada says that this Baba means one can understand very easily. So if you think you're very understanding very easily, that means you're on Baba. You see how you can twist everything? Yeah. If you have Baba, then you'll understand very easily. So when I check myself, I think I understand everything very easily. So then, I must be on Baba. And because I have Baba, of course I understand the eternal, natural position of the Lord and His activities and His manifestations. And then you have Prabhupada, he says, one can understand very easily when you are fully conscious. So since I fully understand everything, that means I'm fully conscious, right? And because I'm fully conscious of the greatness of Krishna, that Prabhupada said that means that is called Baba. And Prabhupada said, and it's not very difficult. It's not very difficult. For people who have Baba, it's not at all difficult. So, we understand Krishna is great. We understand naturally His appearance and activities because we're devotees. Therefore, we're liberated. And we have Baba because we accept that Krishna is so great. And Prabhupada says, because it's not very difficult. Not very difficult. Because in the Shastras, everything is there about Krishna. So everything is there. It's in the Shastra. Why is this difficult? Simply, we just have to take it. Accept it. What's the problem? Accept it, take it. It's very not difficult. Everything is there in the Shastra. What's the problem? And then if we don't believe in the Shastra, then there's no possible way to understand Krishna. Because Krishna is beyond the sense perception. Beyond three-dimensional sense perception is on fourth dimension. But through the Shastra, we can understand a little bit of Krishna. But if you know Bhagavatam, right? You know the Bhagavatam means that you fully know Krishna. Because He's the speaker of the Bhagavatam. So what is that understanding the theoretical? It's convinced you theoretically, philosophically, sentimentally, logically, that somebody who can breathe out unlimited universes should be God. And then Prabhupada says, it is very difficult to know. There's an example in the same paragraph. Right? First he's saying it's not at all difficult. It's not very difficult, Prabhupada says. Then at the end of the paragraph, he says it's very difficult to know because we cannot understand Krishna. How's that for how do you reconcile that paragraph? Who's he referring to in each of those descriptions? One who's on Baba platform, who's on the Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma platform, transcendental platform, has seeded Prem Bhakti, unflinching faith in Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. That means Krishna is revealing himself. So it's not very difficult. Even in the Shastra, you'll understand, oh, Krishna is not different than Bhagavatam, right? Now it's talking about, well, because Krishna is beyond your perception of three-dimensional platform, and you don't really have faith or full understanding of the Shastra, then you cannot understand properly. You cannot understand Krishna because he's on Hokshaja. He's beyond the material modes of nature. But somehow if you get a little mercy from the Shastra, you can understand a little bit of Krishna. It is very difficult to know. It's very difficult to know if we're under the modes of material nature and three-dimensional consciousness with little to no faith and overly dependent on material scholarship, intellectual prowess, philosophical speculation. It's very difficult. So Prabhupada's talking about two different categories and classes of devotees. So one's on Baba platform, other one is beginning platform, under the modes of material nature. So when you read that, it's completely opposite, literally opposite statements. One is very difficult to know, and the other one is very easy to know. So how do you reconcile that? So this bhava stage has to be attained. Right? What was Prabhupada saying about the bhava stage? Because we know about Krishna, therefore we're liberated. Those who are liberated, they have bhava. Because bhava means you easily understood. So because you easily understood, you have bhava, or because you think you have bhava, then you easily understand. But then Prabhupada finishes the sentence, when you're fully conscious. Are we fully conscious? That means beyond material bodily platform, right? That means liberated platform. So now which bhava are we talking about? So this is the bhava stage. Prabhupada says that bhava stage has to be attained. It is not that artificially we come to the bhava stage. It's not that artificially we come to the bhava stage. No. Vita rag bhaya krodha man maya mam pashita. You have to be free from bodily attachment, fear, anger, completely absorbed in me, taking complete refuge and dependent in me. And those persons who do that by my association, they automatically become completely purified of all ignorance by which I reveal myself to them. And thus, on that platform, they all attain transcendental love for me. That's bhava. These are the qualifications, Prabhupada said. Krishna is personally saying. Krishna is saying these are the qualifications. Well, my guru said, I'm on the barber platform. Prabhupada says, Krishna is personally saying not all of a sudden we can understand Krishna. The first qualification is to be detached from this bodily conception of life. The present qualification is that under this modes of material nature, tamagun, rajagun, we are too much attached to the body and bodily material sense enjoyment. Therefore, by this tapodivyam, by this tapasya, by this purification process, one is able to gradually become purified of all of this material contamination and material desire for material enjoyment. It's not controlled all of a sudden. You know, you get your t-shirt that you lost your heart in Vrindavan, put that baby on, and all of a sudden, boom, you're completely detached from everything material because you're a gopi. Now you're crying in the separation, right? Now you're weeping. And then they pass around some chilies, you put that in your eye, get some tears going, get some sad music going. And then Prabhupada said, then if you take to devotional service, then everything becomes very easy to follow. So why is everything not very easy to follow? We're devotees, we're liberated, we're bhava, we know about the appearance and activities of the Lord, we're performing devotional service. But Prabhupada said if you're performing devotional service, then everything becomes very easy to follow. So what kind of devotional service are we doing that nothing is easy to follow? One devotee said to me, Maharaj, I just want to, what did he say? Thank you for tolerating my service. And I was like, what is the quality of service that has to be tolerated? Is that like really service? Thank you for tolerating my loving devotional service. Shouldn't it just be like relished? What's tolerating? Is it poisonous? Am I going to die? What am I tolerating with your service? So any other last question before the kids starve tonight? You see how we're assuming way too much? And then what we're doing is with three-dimensional intelligence, mind, and senses, we're reading everything, and then Maya's telling us what we're reading and how to understand it. And because we're trying to be sincere and we're reading, then we're just automatically assuming that whatever we're being told that it is, we're accepting it absolutely. Because according to our estimation, we're sincerely reading, and our heart, emotion, and sentiment says we're sincere. So Bhagavatam is showering mercy, and therefore however I'm perceiving that is automatically absolute. You see? And then you go preaching that understanding to somebody else, to establish your understanding and your truth and your position, and you're just preaching the misconception that you picked up, and then they add their speculation, then they read it and say, well, according to the way that I'm reading that, my truth, that means something different to me. So then all of a sudden everyone's speculating, reading whatever they want into it. Maya is telling everybody something different. And then we're arguing what is the Siddhanta, which is one, not even two. And then they use some obscure quote that, Nitya Siddhas Acharya, sometimes they disagree. And then it's like, yeah, Rupa Goswami said, this devotee had 7 flowers in his hands, her hands. And then the other Acharya said she had 12 flowers in her hands. That's the disagreement. They disagreed. So one Vaishnava saw 7 flowers, the other saw 12 flowers. You think they're disagreeing on Siddhanta? Siddhanta is non-different from Krishna. How can you disagree? There's no different opinions. Perhaps there's not even 2 opinions. But we're not hearing that. We're saying you see diversity in, what do they call it? Diversity and unity and diversity. Unity and diversity. Is that on the spiritual platform or on the material platform? If it's on diversity on material platform, that means Maya's different variations of Maya. So where's the unity? And we all just perceive that it's Krishna? It's Krishna conscious? So we're all taking our misconception and agreeing that whatever we agree, even if it's different and opposite, it's coming from Krishna, so that's our unity. So our combined speculation, individually and against each other, that is our unity, because nothing is separate from Krishna. Or is it the variety and the diversity of the soul on the soul platform, centered around Krishna in Krishna consciousness, that is all absolute, under the internal spiritual energy of the Lord, Yogamaya, Swarup Shakti, Yogamaya, however you want to say, then yes, the diversity and that varieties, variegatedness, it's all absolute. Then there's unity. But there cannot be diversity and unity on material platform, unless you all agree that we're all just speculating, our intelligence, mind, and senses are being controlled by Maya. And we all realize that. So that's our unity. Think about it. You think I'm just making this stuff up? How do you make this stuff up? Yeah.
This happened with me also.
No, let her talk first. I don't want to offend the Matajis. Then they'll get together and it becomes like a whole women's movement and they file complaints. They feel offended, disrespected. Right? The whole government will shut down just to satisfy one lady's complaint. Isn't it? And they know it too, that's why they exploit that. Right? They scratch themselves and then they say, this person scratched me. They make stuff up. My husband beat me. And it looks like your own fingernails, you know what I mean? So what is it?
Hare Krishna.
I'm trying to blend a lot of different cultures here, so it might be tough. How Vedic culture may may perceive some of these statements. Please forgive me. Unity and diversity.
So, if you can only do pure devotional service, like hearing from Krishna and doing that
And doing what Krishna wants?
when you're completely purified of tamagun, rajagun.
Yeah.
So, what in between, we still have to try and follow Gurudev's instruction and Krishna, what Krishna wants us to do. But we're in the in between, like trying to get purified.
If you have faith in Krishna and you really want his help, he'll send you the right association and he'll give you faith. This is my arrangement, and this person is authorized, empowered, qualified as my agent, as my representative to help you. So without Krishna's giving you that intelligence and faith, then why should you accept somebody's opinion, instructions or guidance? You'll only accept it if it's convenient for what you want to think and do. As soon as it's not convenient for what you want to think and do, then you'll be like, well, how do I know that what he's saying is absolute? Then you'll second guess it, and you'll either become your own guru or you'll look for another guru who will give you a more favorable instruction which is more consistent with what you want to do in the first place. So then you'll just get a guru who just to flatter you and basically sanction whatever Maya wants you to do. And then Maya, through that guru, is sanctioning your Maya, and you both go to hell. Life and death.
So, on our side, we have to try and.
You look very serious today. That's good. She's like really sober and she's really listening to all of this thing. I felt bad because the other night I was saying she was crazy. And of course everybody's crazy, more or less. So then I felt bad. I said, oh, maybe she feels bad because you said she was crazy in front of all of the devotees. And I was saying, right, thank God your mother's not here. Imagine if your mother heard that. Your mother would be like, what kind of people are you hanging around with? They're calling you crazy? You're all insane, more or less. Modern psychology says like that. Now we're feeling bad about ourselves. I don't like that version. Oh, you don't like the reality version. You want to be in the illusion version. So?
If you have to make decisions.
Oh my God. You're going to make decisions?
Like your seva forces you, you have to make some type of decision for Guru Krishna's pleasure, and you don't know what to do. How do we
But
hear
if you sincerely want to serve Guru and Krishna and please them, Krishna will know that. And he'll give you intelligence and faith, guidance, how to do it. He'll help you. If you're sincere, you're serious, you just don't know what to do, Krishna knows that.
But how do you be 100% sure if you're alone? And
until you get the results, don't be 100% convinced. Right, you say, okay, I'm convinced, I'm sincere and serious, and then nothing happens. Right? Then you'll be like, well, I was convinced, but nothing happened. So something's missing. That means Krishna's not convinced. So until Krishna proves to you by the results that he is happy and satisfied with you and reciprocating with you, then don't stop when you think that's enough to show your sincerity and seriousness. We are not the judge of our own sincerity and seriousness. Because if it's up to us, of course we're sincere and serious. Otherwise, what are we doing it? Why we've dedicated so many years and decades, and if we're not sincere and serious? So we're almost offended by that. Remember, in Mayapur we gave the class from Prabhupada talking about sincerity and seriousness. Everyone was furious at me. What are you, the judge of our sincerity and seriousness? I mean, they were attacking me. So how come a talk about sincerity and seriousness is getting such a reaction out of everybody? That was my thought. Right? If you're humble and you're trying to be sincere and serious, then and you're not, then you'll be like, yeah, I'm working on that. I'm trying to become more sincere and serious. Right? And then if you are sincere and serious, you'll still feel like it's not enough. Because your goal, we want to get Krishna Prema. So until you get Krishna Prema, then why are we settling for some gradation of sincerity and seriousness if it doesn't reach the goal? If the goal is just to get out of some temporary suffering condition and then you reach that, then you feel like, okay, my sincerity and seriousness got me to that. But is that the goal? Is that the final goal? So we just have to try our best to be convinced enough where Krishna gives us intelligence, faith, help, support, guidance, so that we can realize some benefit in that hearing and chanting and in the execution of that general and specific instructions. Because that's what's going to convince us that Krishna finally is considering that we're trying to be sincere and serious. And unless we're realizing the results, why should we automatically assume, according to our estimation, that we are so sincere and serious? Shouldn't the results tell us that? So that's why there's a disconnect between what we're demanding and expecting based on what we're actually receiving or not receiving in terms of reciprocation. That's why people lose faith. That's why they become confused. Because according to our estimation, we should be getting much more reciprocation. And then how do you not lose faith in Krishna, in the process, in the Guru, and chanting? If we're thinking we're completely trying our best, we're completely sincere and serious, and we really believe that, undeniable, merciful reciprocation and results will confirm that. Weakness of the heart, attachment to material desire, material attachment, purification of sinful desires, sinful reactions, overcoming doubts, being fixed in our consciousness, becoming more and more steady and fixed. These are all practical, results that should come as we're moving through that process and receiving mercy of Guru and Krishna as a result of their decision about the quality and the quantity of our sincerity and seriousness. And this is a topic no one wants to really kind of consider, because nobody wants to think that they're not sincere and serious and a good person and trying to do the right thing and trying to love the people, and right? And then you find out that after decades, and then it's like, oh my God, I've built a whole reputation for myself. I've built up all these relationships based on a false illusion. I have no way to relate to anybody on any other platform. Now I have to reconsider everything I thought that was true, wasn't, isn't. That's not easy to digest that. So to really digest it and to be able to really accept it and to humble ourselves and to go through that humbling process, that's also a test of our sincerity and seriousness. And you know what? It's better late than never. Of course, we wish we would get it from the beginning. But most of us joined later and much later in our lives. So you know what? Better late than never. You could have gone your whole life and not got this information and opportunity. Still Krishna's mercy, Mahaprabhu's mercy. Do you understand? You accept that? Your mother looks very tired. She's hungry, she's cold, she's tired. We're doing Tapodivyam. A little Tapodivyam, a little philosophy. Don't worry, we're going to feed you. It took a while to get to all of this discussion, isn't it? So to try to say everything would have been finished after 1 hour, how much would we really have benefited? Right? So we want, and I want us to get really some result. So we're trying to apply ourselves and put effort and sincerity and seriousness, not assuming everything, not taking it cheaply, sentimentally. We're trying to do the work. It's like a digging work. Right? Shovel, digging work. We're like working philosophers. We don't just sit there and speculate. We got shovels. We're digging. We're plowing. Right? Nityananda means a plowing. Alright? You had a point? Yeah? I have to do damage control because I said she was crazy. But tonight she doesn't look as crazy. She looks more sober, more peaceful, more serious. That's progress. As long as you get the progress, whether you understand it or not, doesn't even matter. Later on you might understand it. So, don't let me down now. What is it?
Hare Krishna, Srila Gurudev. My question is that how can we develop this desire to hear Hari-katha constantly? Like all the time we have to hear.
If you don't want to be crazy, and we want to be peaceful and happy and well informed, then we'll seek good association and good information. We should think, I need some good information. I need association that can give me good information, which is also purifying and building faith, destroying doubts, reconciling all of these seemingly difficult concepts, tattvas together. So we get the benefit of that, then we'll become more greedy for that. So the more we associate with the Guru, Sadhu Shastra, the more benefit we perceive, the more we like that benefit, that way of life, the quality of life and consciousness, the more greedy we'll get to continue. The results will convince you that this is a better way to live. And then if you're getting food for the soul and all your, disturbance and all your, misunderstanding, misconception, anxiety, everything is disappearing, then wow, that's a great result. You'll become more and more greedy to be in that state of mind, that state of consciousness. Then you'll be more greedy for sadhu sangha. Gurudev used to say that, like the drunkards, right, or the ones working at the end of the week, Friday, they're saying after all week working, they say, if I don't go to the club, to the bar, get a drink, I'm going to go mad. I'm going to go crazy if I don't have a drink. And Gurudev said in the spiritual side, it's that if I don't get to sadhu sangha, do sadhu sangha and hear some good information, I'm going to go mad. Because we're either hearing this information or we're sitting there alone listening to Maya, endless loops of madness, attachment, desires, sinful reactions, concoctions, plan making, hankering, lamenting. Right? So if we don't hear this, we'll be hearing that. So when you get sick of the broken record, you get sick of the same boring, stupid, soul-killing information, then you'll seek out some better association, better information. And if it's just going and associating with devotees and they're even more crazy than we are, you had 3 doubts going into that conversation, they had 4 doubts, then you walk away, you get 7 doubts. I see the devotee like, what happened to you? They're like, oh, I was associating with the devotees. Wow. What kind of devotees? Maya's devotees? Kali Chelas. Understand? So his only shelter and protection is at the lotus feet of Krishna, Krishna's devotees, Guru Sadhu Shastra. It's the only place you can find a sane, healthy, perfectly spiritual, beneficial association and topics. Everything else is Maya, more or less. Everything else is detrimental, contaminating, confusing, disturbing, self-sabotaging. So that's up to us. What association, what information, what effect or benefit, what quality of life are we seeking or are we satisfied with? And that everyone has individual choice to make on that matter. Alright? Alright, I think I took enough of your time. It took a while to wake everybody up, including myself, because I was in the Nidra, what's it called, Nidra Yoga? Oh, Yoga Nidra. Yeah, I was in so much Yoga Nidra, I don't even know what it means. Because I was in transcendental, what is it called? Samadhi. I was in a trance. Right, let me give you one more thing. Alright? I'll give you, it's quick. Don't mind. I'll give you one really quick one. But Prabhupada in places he's talking how that Yoga Nidra is Yoga Maya. And then when the Lord goes, acting like a child, he goes for the sleeping, then he's just in a Yoga Nidra. Then we read the Supreme Lord's ecstatic trance is his internal supreme ecstasy. for energy, Yoga Nidra. Oh. Yoga Nidra may be explained to be Yoga Maya. Mahavishnu is lying in Yoga Nidra, mystic sleep.
महाविष्णु जोग निद्रा के अन्य परम ज्योति हैं।
I'm almost done. Hang in there. Don't leave your body yet. I have other stories, but I can't do it. Divine sleep, Prabhupada says, ecstatic trance, Yoga Nidra. We should not understand the sleeping condition of the Lord to be the same as our sleep. Here the word Yoga Nidra, specifically mentioned, indicates the Lord's sleeping condition is also a manifestation of his internal potency, Yoga Maya. And that Yoga Maya is understood always to be transcendental. That Yoga Nidam is in reference to the Supreme Lord. One should understand that his Nidra, his sleeping, is not like our Nidra in the mode of ignorance. The Lord is always in transcendence. He's always in eternal, blissful state. He is not disturbed by the sleep like ordinary human beings. It's always transcendental bliss in all stages and all conditions. Are you becoming convinced? We're quoting Guru Sadhu Shastra, right? That's enough for now. So everyone, thank you very much. Have a nice prasadam. I hope that helped you. I hope it didn't confuse you. And even if you don't understand it, doesn't even matter. Because at least you weren't hearing your own stupid mind for a few minutes. Even that's a relief, right? Just, tell me something else, man. Give me some better information. If this is all, can you imagine after, as you're getting old, like that's all you're hearing? How boring. How disturbing information, the same information. It's like, that's it? That's all this thing can put out there? It's pathetic. And then it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. The same information. It's like getting a broken record, right? So it's just going around, broken record. And then it's like, it's losing, it's like old machine. So it's going slower and slower and slower. So it's the same song, but it's just going slower and slower and slower. Then you're hearing every one of those words more, which is like more painful, more disturbing, because it's like really slow. It's like driving into your head. There's useless information. And then it's like, but I'm happy. I feel pretty good. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. I don't think I offended enough people tonight. Please excuse me. I feel like I didn't do enough. Thank you, everybody. Shri Gauri Thai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gaur Govinda Swami, Srila Gurudeva ki, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki, Gaura Paramananda, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Shri Gurudev ki.
I'm sorry I didn't make it till 3 hours. I feel like I cheated you. I'll make it up to you in the near future. Then we'll pick another topic. It's just suspending whatever else you were going to worry about, right? Because you have no yet too much thinking about overlay about this topic. Later you can go speculate and suffer, however you like to suffer. You can go back to that speculation after the class, if you enjoy it, if it's tasty for you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. At least you're smiling now. It took 3 hours for you to smile.